Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome to Outlaws and Gunslingers with the host Bang and Dang. Bang and Dang. And we got some nutty ones for you today.
Nut.
Some far-right extremists.
Oh, no, there's no such thing as that.
I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably remember when this happened. It's still fresh in the minds. I think old Lavoy Finicum, the famous footage of him getting blasted down in the snowy mountaintop or wherever the fuck he was.
Sure
Freaky was. Of course, we're talking about the 2016 Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, I guess, takeover or siege. It wasn't even a siege. It was more of a, they took it over.
They occupied it for
Occupation. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. And didn't end so good for one particular person. But the leader of this was actually involved in another one back in like 2013 with his daddy, Ammon Bundy.
That's right.
But we're talking about Ammon Bundy for this one. He was the leader of this one, January 2nd, 2016. Armed group of far-right extremists seized and occupied the headquarters of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Harney County, Oregon. They were seeking an opportunity to advance their view that federal government is constitutionally required to turn over most of the federal public land they manage to the individual states, in particular land managed by the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, United States Fish and Wildlife Service, USFWS, and the United States Forest Service, USFS, plus other agencies and others. Harney County is a rural county in eastern Oregon. Obviously, the county seat is the city of Burns. Though it is one of the largest counties in the area of the United States, its population is only about 7,700, and cattle outnumber people 14-1.
Dang.
Perfect place to have a National Wildlife Refuge then. Right. Bureau of Land Management. That means, you know what that means? Bureau of, we can come take whatever land we want.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you think you own your land? Guess what? Don't pay that property tax.
What is that called? Eminent domain?
Yeah. About 73% of the county's area is federal land. Variously managed by the United States Bureau of Land Management, United States Forest Service, and the United States Fish and Wildlife.
Right.
The Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, located in Harney County.
Right. We know that.
Established in 1908 by President Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah. Teddy. He did a lot of national parks and shit like that.
He was a conservationist. Located in the Pacific Flyway, currently encompassing 187,757 acres. It is one of the premier sites for birds and birding in the United States.
Ooh, how fun.
According to Audubon Society of Portland, tourism, especially birding, injects $15 million into the local economy annually.
That's not a lot. Sorry.
No.
$15 million.
Right.
Birds.
Birds.
Hey, guys, you want to go birding?
No.
The leader of this occupation, as mentioned previously, was Ammon Bundy, native of Bunkerville, Nevada. He was owner of a car fleet management company in Phoenix and a recent resident of Emmett, Ohio. Okay. Ammon Bundy was also the leader of a group which he formed shortly before the occupation, which he later named the Citizens for Constitutional Freedom.
Wait, these motherfuckers didn't even live in Oregon either?
No.
What the fuck?
No.
See, get the fuck out of here. Do something in your own state.
Right.
Man.
When you need, well, you'll see what kind of people they are. When you name your group that you put together, it's probably not a good idea.
Right. Citizens of Constitutional Freedom. I mean,
Ammon's father, Clive D. Bundy, had previously organized and, like we said, led a somewhat similar incident roughly 2 years earlier in March of 2014. Both Bundys are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
That makes sense.
And claimed that their armed opposition to the federal government was ordained for them via divine messages, ordering them to do so.
Why are Mormons so weird?
Yeah, well, any hardcore and religious nut.
Right. It's true.
Ain't no different than any other religious person saying, God spoke to me and told me to shoot these people.
Right. Like that snake religion.
Yeah.
Oh, my. That's rough shit. Also in a leadership position amongst the militants was the group's occasional spokesman, Lavoy Finicum, another Mormon who owned a ranch at Cane's Beds in the Arizona Strip near the community of Colorado City, Arizona. That's where it was, Arizona. Not Texas. He had recently authored a self-published post-apocalyptic film. Nope, it was a novel.
Self-published.
Right. Ammon's brother, Ryan Bundy, was also amongst the militants present and was later arrested for his role in the occupation.
Okay.
1st of December 2019, investigation commissioned by the Washington House of Representatives reported Washington State legislator, white supremacist Matt Shea.
Wow, he's a Washington State legislator, huh?
Fantastic. Had a planned and participated in domestic terrorism on at least 3 occasions.
Okay.
Good for this guy. And he made it into the government, huh?
Why are we doing this? 2012, Dwight Lincoln Hammond Jr., 73, and Stephen Dwight Hammond, 46 years old, were both convicted of 2 counts of arson on federal land in relation to 2 fires they set in 2001 and 2006. In a mid-trial settlement agreement, Hammonds agreed not to appeal the arson convictions in order to have other charges dismissed.
Okay.
Hammonds were also told the prosecutor would seek the mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years.
Ooh.
Ultimately, Dwight Hammond was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment, and his son was sentenced to a year and a day, which both men served.
Fantastic. They served the whole full sentences? You know they're going to.
Yeah. Served them both. All of them.
Motherfucker's going to serve them all.
Oh, they gave him a year and a day, so he had to go to prison.
All right. 2015 sentences were, however, vacated by the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit.
Oh.
Which then remanded a resentencing.
Ooh.
October 2015,
Oh,
a judge resentenced the Hammonds to 5 years in prison with credit for time served, ordering that they return to prison on January 4, 2016.
Wow.
Stephen was scheduled to be released on the 29th of June in 2019. Dwight, February 13, 2020, right during the pandemic. They probably let him out early. No, February 2020 is just when it started.
Well, didn't have to.
No, they were pardoned by then President Donald J. Trump.
Yes.
July 10th, 2018. Late 2015, Hammond's case attracted the attention of Ammon Bundy and Ryan Payne. In November 2015, Bundy and his associates began publicizing the Hammond's case via social media. Oh, that's why they went.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stupid. Hey.
It's all starting to come back now.
Hey, they're these guys that burnt down places, they're innocent. It's like free my homie Quan.
Right.
He don't deserve to be in life in prison for killing 2 people. Free my homie Quan. Over the ensuing weeks, Bundy and Payne attempted to set up plans for what they described as a peaceful protest in Harney County with the sheriff, David M. Ward, as well as request that the sheriff's office protect the Hammonds from being taken into custody by federal authorities. A sympathetic Ward declined Bundy and Payne's request. Later said that he began receiving death threats by email because of it. Despite several early meetings with Bundy and Payne, the Hammonds eventually rejected their offers of assistance. They're like, yeah, they probably met with them. Like, these dudes are fucking crazy, dude. I don't want no part of them.
Jeez, oh,
Let me
Peter.
serve my sentence.
Right. 5th of November 2015, Ammon Bundy called Harney County Sheriff David Ward, arranges a meeting later that same day. At the meeting, Bundy and Montana militiaman Ryan Payne insisted to Sheriff Ward that Ward must shield Dwight and Stephen against re-imprisonment.
Why is it spelled different?
Right. Ward recalled that he explained that he did not have authority to shield the Hammonds from a lawful sentence.
Especially with the feds.
He's like, what are you even talking? Do you even hear you guys just...
Right.
Come on. Bundy and Payne's demeanors became threatening.
Uh-oh.
Payne told Ward that he did not shield the Hammonds from imprisonment. Thousands of armed militiamen would come to the county to do Ward's job for him. And Payne pointedly noted that he might not be able to control what the militia might do.
Well, that's threatening an officer.
You ain't kidding. They should have been locked up right there.
Right. By late fall, local, state, and federal law enforcement agency noticed that members of anti-government militias had started to relocate to Harney County. And the USFWS began circulating a photograph of Ammon Bundy with instructions for staff to be on the lookout. Bolo. By early December 2015, Bundy and Payne had moved to Burns. Same month, they organized a meeting at the Harney County Fairgrounds to rally support for their efforts. At the meeting, a committee of safety was organized by Bundy and Payne to orchestrate direct action against the Hammond sentences. They already said they don't want your help.
Right.
According to the group's website, the Harney County Committee of Safety considers itself a governmental body established by the people in the absence of the ability of the existing government to provide for the needs and protection of civilized society.
Yeah, shadow governments.
Apparently, they named it after the American Revolution Committees of Safety, which were shadow governments organized to usurp authority from colonial administrators.
Right.
A little different here, guys.
Yeah, definitely. From mid-November to late December 2015, local residents began to notice significant numbers of outsiders in the community, often dressed in militia-style attire and openly carrying handguns and sometimes rifles. Jeez, that's ridiculous. Come on, guys. Just be normal.
Right.
Hey, some of these armed newcomers engaged in what local people considered threatening and harassing behavior, such as approaching shoppers in local stores and aggressively asking their opinions about the Hammond family. Aggressively.
Probably was. What you think about them Hammonds, boy?
You think they deserve it? What do you mean? Right.
Hey, who's Hammond?
Right. Many local people consider these actions to be deliberate intimidation,
Probably.
intended to sway the community to join in the outsiders' unspecified plan to protect, quote, to protect the Hammonds from rearrest. Contrary to local custom, some residents began carrying guns in public locations. Like, yeah, I didn't get that.
Well, yeah, I think we need to start carrying. Many lived in fear that some kind of violent event was about to take place.
Right.
December 30th, 2015, U.S. FWS staff members at Malheur National Wildlife Refuge were dismissed early from work. Tensions rising in nearby burns. Supervisors left staff with the final instruction not to return to the refuge unless explicitly instructed. Why?
Right.
Did they know they were going to go there?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, some Burns residents reported harassment and intimidation by militia members. Yes. According to the spouses and children of several federal employees and local police, they had been followed home or to school by vehicles with out-of-state license plates.
He's OP.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Some crazy stuff going on there. 1st January 2016, forum held at the Harney County Fairgrounds was attended by 60 local residents, members of a militia.
Okay.
Burns area resident who organized the event described it as an opportunity to diffuse tensions that had been simmering between locals and out-of-town militia. The event alternated between expressions of...
Only 60 people came?
Right. The event alternated between expressions of sympathy for the Hammonds and suggestions that a peaceful rally could be beneficial. You know, we can just peacefully rally. Right. The Lord was not pleased with what was happening to the Hammonds. If we allowed the Hammonds to continue to be punished, there would be accountability. Ammon Bundy. Speaking in video, posted on YouTube, January 1st.
January 2nd, a rally of about 300 people gathered in Safeway, in a Safeway supermarket parking lot in Burns, organized by the Pacific Patriots Network. Patriots. A militia umbrella organization that includes the 3 percenters of Ohio. Idaho. 3 percenters. Huh?
Hey.
Members of they're not good enough to be 1%.
Right.
Members of the Pacific Patriots Network had been active in Harney County since November, drawn there by the Hammond arson case.
Okay.
Following speeches, the crowd marched to the home of Dwight and Stephen Hammond. They're like, dude, I don't want your help.
Right.
Stopping briefly en route to protest outside the sheriff's office and the county courthouse. The crowd then returned to the Safeway parking lot and broke up. According to KOIN, the CBS affiliated television station in Portland, there was no visible police present at any point.
Oh, why would there be?
Right.
Before the protest crowd broke up, Ammon Bundy announced to the crowd his plan to occupy the Wildlife Refuge in Malheur. Right. And he encouraged people to join him.
Yeah,
He's like,
come on, join me.
It's going to be brats, beer.
Yeah, we'll watch some birds.
We're going to target practice.
Brats, beer, and birds,
Brats,
baby.
beer, and birds, and guns.
Right.
His announcement, and probably bull riding.
Yeah.
Rodeos.
Right.
His announcement surprised a PPN rally organizer who later stated he felt betrayed.
Right.
He's like,
these guys,
wait a minute.
We're not trying to occupy stuff.
He's like, whoa, this was the plan all along?
Jeez. Right. Shame on you.
Tricked me. Ammon and Ryan Bundy, along with armed associates, separated from the crowd and proceeded to the refugee. Located 30 miles south of Burns, the militants settled into the refuge, right, and set up defensive positions. Right before the occupation began, the militants notified the Harney County Sheriff's Office, and also at least they notified them. Like, hey, bud, we're going to be at the refuge up there. I don't think that's a good idea. Well, just to let you know. They also contacted a utility company with the intention of taking over the refuge electric and other service.
She's like, well, we own this now.
Let's build this here. They're like, no, dude.
How the hell do you just take over? The electric company was like, no.
All right. And this is all according to a motion to dismiss and memorandum filed by Bundy's lawyers on the 9th of May.
Well, law enforcement kept away from the refuge. Various security measures were taken in surrounding areas. The evening of January 4th, no overt police presence was visible in the area between the town and the headquarters of the occupiers.
Right.
Upon hearing of the occupation at the Wildlife Refuge, 2 ranchers on whose behalf the militants were ostensibly acting disavowed the action. Yeah, the Hammonds.
Right.
So we don't want this.
Right.
January 2nd, the militia leaders claimed to have 150 armed members at the site. The one journalist reported that no more than a dozen were there. And another reported a claim that there was between 6 and 12.
Right.
January 3rd, the Oregonian said that there were roughly 20 to 25 people present and that the militants had deployed into defensive positions.
Okay.
January 3rd, Ammon Bundy claimed that they were being supplied by area residents.
They weren't.
Maybe like 1.
Right. By resident.
Right.
Other protest groups took varying positions on this. And they're like, 2nd January, 3 percenters of Idaho militia disclaimed involvement. They're like, I ain't part of that shit. Calling the occupation a small splinter action. Like, yeah. Ryan Bundy stated that the militant group wanted the Hammonds to be released and for the federal government to relinquish control of the National Forest Malheur. Third,
They honestly think they were going to relinquish control of a whole forest.
Get out of here. It's like we setting up camp in Huron.
Right. Like, nope. We want this all.
Government's going to be like, I don't think so. But January 3rd, Ammon Bundy said the ultimate goal of the militants was get the economics here in the county revived for logging and outdoor recreation. Nobody does any outdoor recreation anymore.
Nope.
Can't even log because it's on federal land.
Only thing you can log is in.
And out.
Right. Yeah.
January 4th, the militants announced a formal name for their group, Citizens for Constitutional Freedom.
Like I said, never name your group.
No.
January 4th, Stephen E. Grasty, the judge executive of Harney County, emailed Ammon Bundy requesting a leave. Harney County Sheriff David Ward then requested that the Bundys and others to leave.
Right.
In response, Ryan Bundy said he wasn't convinced Ward spoke for all of the people in the county. Okay. It doesn't matter because the two that you guys are supposedly defending don't want you to do this.
Right.
Meanwhile, January 4th, Dwight and Stephen Hammond voluntarily reported to begin serving the remainder of their respective prison sentences.
Right. Dude, we just need to go to prison.
Right. Like, geez. In a public meeting held on January 6th at the Harney County Fairgrounds, nearly every attending person, according to the Oregon Public Broadcasting, OPB, you down with OPB? Raised their hands when Ward asked who thought the militants should leave. Every single person.
Of course they did.
Ward then offered to escort the militants to the county line if they would depart voluntarily.
I mean, that's a fair offer.
Yeah. Just get out of our damn state or county, man. Get the hell out of here.
Hey, man, no hurt feelings, whatever. Roll it, man. Roll it out, bud. Go home. A fist fight erupted at the refuge on the evening of the 6th of January when three members of the group calling
What
themselves...
is it with January 6th, huh?
Right. Calling themselves veterans on patrol, attempted to enter headquarters to convince women, children, and Ryan Payne to leave. Like women, children, and Ryan Payne.
Ryan Payne. Come on, let's go, buddy.
Let's go.
Why just Ryan Payne? What the hell?
Instead, they were repelled by militants, leaving one member of the veterans on patrol with a black eye.
Oh, a black guy.
Dude got punched right in the eye. Family members of some militants were present at the refuge during the occupation, of course.
Right.
Including a minor son of Bundy, as well as the children of some of the visitors sympathetic to the militia. That's fantastic. January 7th, Sheriff Ward and other local sheriffs met with Bundy and Ryan Payne 20 miles from the site of the occupation. Sheriff Ward repeated his early offer to escort the militants out of the county. He said, you don't even have to leave the state. Yeah,
but it's a bold move for them to actually go meet with them, though. The sheriff, that is.
Right.
They're just taking them both and arresting them.
Right. Bundy was like, I'm not leaving the refuge or your county or the state. And I will be occupying this area until management of federal land is held back to you guys. Bundy rejected the offer, saying the occupation would continue until the management of federal land in the county had been turned over to the local residents where they belong. I'm doing this for you guys. You don't even realize it. You'll thank me later.
Like, no, we won't. January 8th, members of other militias later met with the militants, asking them to establish a perimeter around the occupied area to avoid a Waco-style situation.
We don't need another Waco.
Right. A number of other militia and anti-government groups, some armed, arrived and received a mixed reception. The 3%ers of Idaho announced it was sending some of its members to secure a perimeter. Ammon Bundy initially welcomed the arrival of the additional militants, but hours after their arrival on the morning of January 9th, the convoy of new militants from the Pacific Patriots Network, led by Brandon Curtis, he was president of the 3%ers of Idaho, were asked to leave by Utah attorney Todd McFarlane, who acted as a mediator, apparently. The new militants left the refuge that afternoon.
All right.
Whatever. Like this isn't a 97%.
Right.
We don't do this anymore.
Right. That's right. Yeah. We thought it was something different.
Right.
By the 10th of January, an influx of armed groups and individuals was rotating through Burns, with some declaring they were there to support the occupation. Others tried to convince the militants to quit. And still others with undefined purposes.
I'm just here.
Just checking it out, boys.
Just here. My wife left me, so just on the road.
Right. It's like that video of that couple that went to Florida when the hurricane was there a couple days ago. They're like, why'd you guys come here? You knew there's a hurricane. We wanted to come and see the weather. we want to see what the weather was like.
I like turtles.
January 11th, militants removed a stretch of fence between the refuge and adjacent ranch, apparently to give the adjacent ranch access to the land that had been blocked for years. That guy's like, I ain't touching that land. Put my fence back up, please. Unless that ranch was like, cool.
Right.
Cool.
Fresh grazing land for my cattle.
He's like, man.
Oh, no.
Right. But the ranch owners did not want the fence taken down and subsequently repaired it.
Like, you dumbasses.
What the hell?
Like, first of all,
right.
I don't want my animals getting out and spreading this big-ass wildlife thing.
Yeah, but now these guys are vandalizing private property.
Right.
The militants began searching through government documents stored for proof of government wrongdoing toward local ranchers. I'm sure there was.
I'm sure there is, yeah. January 12th, the militants told KOIN reporter Chris Holmstrom that the refuge facilities were messy and unorganized when they arrived. Jason Patrick asserted that they encountered rat feces 2 inches deep. Doubtful.
Oh,
Coyne recorded some of their clearing efforts in a garage. Okay. In a garage, right.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Bruce Doucette, the owner of a computer repair shop in Denver, and a self-proclaimed judge.
I'm a judge.
All right. Announced on January 12th that he would convene a citizens grand jury to charge government officials with various crimes.
Sure.
Doucette's claims to be a judge are consistent with legal frauds often practiced by the sovereign citizen movement and other anti-government movements, right? Hey, we got our own thing going on, so I'm a judge.
Ammon Bundy announced that the militants planned a longer stay. We're reaching out to nearby county sheriffs for support. Good luck with that.
Right.
Michael Ray Emery, speaking for Bruce Doucette, threatened to hold a trial with the redress of grievance against county and other government officials. Okay. Harney County Judge Stephen Grasty, Sheriff Ward, and other county officials were served as false legal documents by the militants. Oh, jeez. The judge is like, what the fuck is this?
Ripped it up immediately. Then served them real legal documents.
Right. Yeah. On 15th of January, Oregon State Police arrested a militant at the Safeway in Burns who had been driving a government vehicle stolen from the refuge headquarters. Idiot. Also, otherwise they wouldn't have arrested you.
Right.
Also on the 15th of January, the Oath Keepers anti-government militia group warned of prospective conflagration so great it cannot be stopped, leading to a bloody, brutal civil war. They always want civil war. Them damn Oath Keepers.
Everything is going to lead to a civil war.
Right. He goes, that's what's going to happen if any violence occurs.
Militant numbers continue to grow to several dozen. I mean, 24 or 36 maybe. According to one report, or about 40 in another. Jeez. On January 16th, Lavoy Finicum told the Washington Post that, quote unquote, it needs to be very clear that these buildings will never, ever return to the federal government, reiterating the group's demands for the federal government to cede ownership of the wildlife refuge. Militants begin to vandalize the property, with local community leaders characterized as an attempt to provoke violent confrontation.
Right. That's what they wanted.
A video released by the militants showed them inspecting a locked storage room for archaeological artifacts held in agreement with the Burns Paiute tribe, an Indian nation in Harney County. So now they're messing around with archaeological, historic stuff.
Yeah, this is
leading the tribe to ask the federal authorities to block the passage of occupiers to the site.
Right.
Don't let no more motherfuckers in, okay? Right. We also recognize that Native Americans held claim to the land, but they lost that claim.
How?
There are things to learn from the cultures of the past, but the current culture is the most important.
What?
A quote by Ryan Bundy.
Dang, that's fucked up. He's like, 10 years ago, you guys don't mean shit. What does it have now? My culture.
Well, I think he was getting at that
right.
The land was stolen from the Native Americans,
but they have no claim to it now.
Right.
Basically, that's what he's saying. Because we're here now.
Well, I think he said because the federal government has.
Dude, far right, far left, anything far.
Well, far right and anything left.
Right. It's just ridiculous. These guys have some weird beliefs, man. Yeah. I mean,
it's those far righters that are like patriots and God told me to do this. Fuck off, dude.
It's true.
No, God didn't tell you to do nothing.
No, he did not. God told you to behave. Jeez.
God told you to shut the fuck up.
Do unto others as you want done to you.
If God was going to speak to you, he'd tell you to just
love thy neighbor, you son of a bitch.
Oh, he'd be like, you dumbass. It would be fucking Red from that 70s show.
Yeah.
That's what God would speak to him as. Dumbass.
What is that? I'm gonna put my boot in your ass or some shit? Jeez. 19th of January.
Throw you through a wall.
Right. 19th of January. These guys been here for 20 days
couple
now.
Weeks, yeah.
Ammon Bundy and several other militant occupiers appeared unannounced at a community meeting in Burns without addressing the crowd.
They just show up places and aren't getting arrested or nothing.
Residents urged to end the occupation, as did rallies held by opponents in Eugene and Portland, and also in Idaho.
Yeah.
21st January, Bundy met with the federal FBI.
Oh,
geez, here we go.
They start planning.
And discussed with them about relinquishing federal government control of the refuge, as well as the releases of Dwight and Stephen Hammond, who did not want to go. The FBI's like, dude, they don't. They're happy where they're at.
Hey, they voluntarily went.
Right.
Jeez.
They didn't know what they're doing.
Oh, my goodness.
He agreed to meet with the FBI again on the next day, but when the meeting occurred, Bundy left when the agent present declined to negotiate in front of the media. Why?
Why do you want to negotiate in front of the media anyway?
All right.
Yeah. Because they were going to try to do some shady shit. That's why. FBI ain't to be trusted.
Right.
January 23rd, they're probably more, they're militants. The FBI militant group.
The FBI probably told him, he was like, dude, you don't even know who you're messing with.
Right.
Like, we created people like you.
Matter of fact, we created you.
Right.
Not just people like
Right.
you. January 23rd, the militants hosted a news conference at the refuge, promising news reporters that an Oregon cattle rancher and one from New Mexico would be present to sign papers renouncing their federal grazing permits.
And that's what people in Oregon are like, oh, why is New Mexicans here?
And who gives a shit? That's two people renouncing their federal grazing permits. And so now they're going to illegally graze on federal land, their cows and stuff, and they're going to get all their shit taken. Good for you. Only one rancher, Adrian Sewell of Grant County, New Mexico, renounced his federal grazing permit at the conference. The Oregon rancher was absent. He said, no.
I will do no such thing. Wow. FBI surveillance footage shows Robert Lavoy Finicum's truck being pursued by police on Route 395. It was the first time which the main leaders were traveling together away from the refuge headquarters. Mm-hmm. State and federal authorities used the opportunity to intercept them with a traffic stop on a stretch of Route 395. The militants' convoy consisted of a white 2015 Dodge Ram driven by Lavoy Finicum, followed by a dark-colored Jeep. Vehicles driven by the FBI and the Oregon State Police pulled behind the Jeep. The driver of the Jeep pulled over. He and his passengers, Ammon Bundy and Brian Cavalier, surrendered peacefully and were taken into custody.
Oh, so the leader guy was even like,
oh, he ain't stupid.
I'll go.
He ain't dumb. He didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Well, he did, but Finicum kept driving, followed by the authorities, but eventually stopped with police cars behind his truck.
Police launched a round of 1.6-inch foam nose pepper spray at the vehicle. Oh. Ryan Payne exited Finicum's truck and surrendered peacefully, also surrendering a handgun holstered on his right hip.
Ooh.
Shauna Cox, a passenger in Finicum's truck, recorded cell phone video, which we've seen, of Finicum shouting to the police that he intended to ignore their orders and drive away.
That's what he was going to do. So he wasn't getting in that truck going anywhere anyway.
Right. Other cell phone video footage shot by Ryan Bundy, another passenger, also showed Finicum taunting officers and daring them to shoot and kill him.
He did, too.
About 7 minutes after the stopping of his truck, Finicum resumed driving north at high speed in the snow, too. Cox, Ryan Bundy, and 18-year-old Victoria Sharp were still in the rear seat of the truck at the time.
They were pursued by officers, eventually encountered a roadblock about a mile later. Oregon State Police SWAT member identified in the trial of FBI agent Astrida as Officer 1. Fired 3 shots with the AR-15 into Finicum's truck as it approached the roadblock. Finicum steered off the pavement to the left to evade the roadblock and bend his truck in a snowbank, which we already said.
Right.
2 Oregon State Police officers and 4 FBI agents were posted at the roadblock, with one of the FBI agents nearly being run over by Finicum's truck. Finicum soon exited, began walking away from his truck, briefly raising and lowering his hands above his head. Idiot.
Yeah, while Finicum was leaving, an FBI hostage rescue team member allegedly fired 2 shots, one of which entered the truck and ricocheted, inflicting the minor shrapnel wound on Ryan Bundy.
All right.
OSP officers and FBI agents armed with rifles positioned themselves to his left, while the one officer came to him with a non-lethal taser. He walked downhill from an embankment toward him. As the officer with the taser attempted to move within 15 feet to make the most effective use of the taser,
right,
Finicum turned his body to the left, holding his jacket with his left hand and reaching for a pocket with his right hand.
All the guy had to do was hit him with the taser,
right,
instead of getting shot.
He was then shot twice in the back by OSP SWA SWAT team member from the roadblock identified as Officer 1 and once by Officer 2 from the pursuit vehicle.
Oh, jeez. That's retarded. Immediately after shooting and arrest, officials stated that Finicum was reaching for a handgun in his pocket when he was shot by a state trooper. The FBI found it a loaded 9mm Ruger SR9, a gift from his stepson. They found that in his left jacket pocket, supposedly. Both the Bundy brothers and 3 other militants were arrested. They faced federal felony charges of conspiracy to impede federal officers from discharging their official duties through the use of force, intimidation, or threats. That was Title 18, United States Code, Section 372. The driver of the Jeep and Victoria Sharp, a passenger in Finicum's truck, were released without charges.
Yeah, they're just there.
Right.
Medical assistance was given to Finicum approximately 10 minutes.
Why are you here? They needed a driver.
Right. Well, they weren't driving.
Right.
Medical assistance was given to Finicum approximately 10 minutes after the shooting. Prior to the video of the action being released, some of the militants and supporters had claimed that Finicum was cooperating when he got shot.
He wasn't.
This included a claim by Nevada Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore, who was not present at the arrest, that he was just murdered with his hands up. Ammon Bundy was quoted as saying that Finicum was sacrificed for a good purpose. At a news conference, officials had initially declined to comment on the Finicum shooting because the encounter was still under investigation.
Right.
But they later released the video. It was like, shut the fuck up now, guys. See what just happened?
Check this shit out. This shit out. We even got cell phone footage from inside the truck.
But even then, Finicum's family continued to dispute the nature of the shooting.
Of course they did.
Claiming that he was shot in the back while his hands were in the air, and he denied the FBI's assertion that Finicum was armed at the time of his death. Well, video clearly shows his hands was reaching in something. Whether or not he was, you don't put your fucking hands down near anywhere when you got guns aimed at you, pal.
No.
I mean, that's, jeez.
Well, Finicum's public autopsy was performed on January.
They did it in public, right in town square.
Was performed on 28th January, but officials withheld the autopsy report from the press until the 8th of March. Finicum family commissioned a private autopsy, but declined to make the results public. Why? Because was there another way he died?
I don't know why, right? Probably because he had drugs in his system or something, right? Maybe. I don't know.
3 others were arrested in separate actions. Peter Santilli, Joseph O'Shaughnessy were arrested locally. And John Rich
Shaughnessy. Where are you from? Shaughnessy.
Wow, John Ritzheimer was placed under arrest by the FBI in Peoria. That's in Arizona.
Not Wisconsin.
Right. And
where is Illinois? Right.
After he voluntarily surrendered, though, he was like, hey, man.
I don't want to be a Lavoy. I don't want to be Lavoyed.
Right. Don't want to be Finicum. Following January 26th, arrest, the occupation continued.
Yeah, man, they ain't going nowhere.
Damn, after the leaders were gone, too.
Well, no, that's new people step up, man. Yep. Next guy up. In the early morning hours of January 27th, militant Jason Patrick said that the women and children had left, adding that 5 to 6 people met and then decided to continue. Many people reportedly left in a hurry. Hours later, federal and state police.
Dude, those guys are some... they stick to what they're doing after murders, too.
Yeah, they don't care.
And they're like, Finicum wasn't that smart anyway.
Right. He was an idiot. He was dragging us all down.
Right.
Many people reportedly left in a hurry. Hours later, federal and state police forces moved into the region, formed a perimeter around the refuge, and blocked access to it by setting up roadblocks. Probably should have done that in the beginning, but whatever. Only ranchers who owned land near where the area was allowed to pass. Remaining members debated on what to do next, with some angry about the recent events. Okay. Through his lawyer, who was Michael Arnold of Eugene, Ammon Bundy on January 27th urged those remaining in the refuge to stand down and go home. Right. Statements that were echoed by his wife.
Right.
Just leave. Oh, how many more have to die? Right.
Well, we shouldn't have been here in the first place. Right. Jeez, oh Pete. Later that day, 8 people left the refuge and were met by FBI and Oregon State Police at the perimeter. 3 militants, including Patrick, surrendered and were arrested. 5 other people were allowed to leave the refuge by authorities without incident.
Huh.
I mean, come on. Even have to give it to FBI. They only fucked up once.
Right. Well, it wasn't even the FBI.
Right. They did that.
It was the Oregon State Police.
Right. So look at that. It's FBI letting people leave.
All right.
Dang, you never get to leave, man. You saw our faces.
Right. You gotta clean up those loose ends, man.
Jeez, oh Pete. 3 militants, including Patrick, surrendered and were arrested. By the morning of January 28th, 4 militants remained. David Fry, 27, in Blanchester, Ohio. Why are these people from all over the freaking... That's so stupid, man. I can understand if they're local people.
Right.
David Fry, 27, Blanchester, Ohio. Husband and wife, Sean, 48, and Sandra Lynn Anderson, 47, both of Riggins, Idaho. And Jeff Banta, 46, of Yerington, Nevada. None of these guys belong here.
No.
None of them.
None.
Fry reported that there was a warrant for the arrest of Sean Anderson. The Associated Press reported that Anderson was facing misdemeanor charges in Wisconsin for resisting arrest and drug possession.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't be having your name out there if you got warrants, bud.
In Wisconsin.
But still, now he's a target.
It's a misdemeanor.
He's a target now. Got lethal or legal obligations to get him.
Now he's committing federal felony.
You're committed a felony while wanted for a misdemeanor. Fry also added that the others were free to go, but the 4 were reluctant to leave.
That's an extra 16 hours on your sentence.
Right. They were reluctant to leave unless they were all allowed to go freely, and Sean Anderson was not arrested. So now they're trying to prevent this guy. The dude did the fucking crime.
Right.
Don't get arrested with drugs, dude.
I'm like, all right, man, just let us go.
Jeez.
Let us go.
The FBI reportedly offered a deal where Sean Anderson would be arrested and the other was go free. This was acceptable to Fry. And Banta, but not Sandra Anderson.
Obviously.
At which point all 4 made a pact to remain together.
Right. They're like, damn.
Yeah, Fry was like, fuck it.
Like, Sandra, it's a misdemeanor.
You're an idiot. He'll be done in Get probation, probably.
Right.
January 29th, the force said they had ended negotiations with the FBI and were planning to remain at the refuge until their supplies ran out.
What's stupid?
Dumb. January 30th, their supplies ran out. No, the FBI said negotiations were continuing.
Oh.
Militants also claimed that the FBI was shutting down their ability to communicate with the outside world, including locking down their ability to make or receive cell phone calls.
Oh,
good.
Shit. Yeah.
How about that?
Yep. How about that?
Idiots.
They stupids. FBI later confirmed this action.
You're like, damn right we are. Should have done that from the beginning.
That is true. The militants were able to maintain contact with Oregon Public Broadcasting, though, from January 31st to February 3rd, at which point their line of communication was cut. Like, that's it. No more freaking local broadcasting for you. About a week later, David Fry was able to reestablish online communications.
Good for him.
On February 3rd, the remaining 4 militants, along with 12 of the arrested militants, were indicted. Oh, for conspiracy to impede against U.S. offices.
U.S. officers,
right?
Maybe.
Through Kirkland and Stenson were not. Though
they were not.
And Stenson. Who's Kirkland and Stenson?
2 other people, I guess.
Signs were added at some roadblocks stating that unauthorized protesters or visitors
would be shot.
would be subject to arrest if they passed said blocks.
Yes. They're like, you remember Lavoy? That's what happened to you.
About to get Finicum.
About 4:30 p.m., February 10th, David Fry rode past the police barricades using an ATV.
Oh, on an ATV?
Before returning to the refuge at high speed. What the hell? Federal authorities claim that caused them to begin to surrender refuge at around 5:45.
Surround.
Oh, surround, not surrender. Okay. This dude's just playing with him now, riding his ATV and shit. Michael Arnold, Bundy's lawyer, learned of the escalation from a live feed where the remaining holdouts were talking of murder.
Oh, no.
And asking who to speak to, Nevada Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore. Fiore was informed of the request as their flight touched down at Portland. And meanwhile, Arnold sent text messages to an FBI negotiator saying, Fiore is landing now. Can you get her on the phone with the people at the refuge? We can slow this down by offering Michelle Fiore to talk to them. Fiore stated on a YouTube live stream with the militants that she would try to mediate the situation.
Okay.
While she talked to the 4 militants, Arnold worked on getting the FBI on the phone.
All right.
7:38 p.m., an FBI agent told Arnold that Fiore was doing a good job and they should go to Burns. She's doing a good job. Why don't you guys just go to Burns?
Right. Later that night, it was reported that the remaining militants would be turning themselves over to the FBI at about 8 a.m. the following morning. Let's give us through the night.
Right.
We got 2 bottles left.
Right. We're about to gangbang that fucking Anderson bitch.
Damn right. Sean has no say. He's got to go to jail.
You got to go to jail. So.
Right. On the morning of February 11th, Fiore and Arnold arrived in Burns. Fiore met with Reverend Franklin Graham at the Burns Municipal Airport.
Hi.
Who had flown there on his private airplane.
Wow, Reverend with a private airplane. Okay.
Oh,
talk about televangelists.
Right. And both were driven to the refuge in an FBI armored truck with Arnold in a vehicle behind them.
The lawyer, they're like, we don't trust lawyers.
You got to drive that. Right. Fiore and Graham took turns addressing the militants over a loudspeaker on the truck. Arnold provided the FBI Ammon Bundy's recorded message for Fry.
You a robot. Ammon Bundy's recorded message for Fry.
And Arnold provided the FBI Ammon Bundy's recorded message for Fry.
Right.
By 11 a.m., Sean and Sandra Anderson, Jeff Banta, and Fry surrendered to the FBI without any incident.
3 hours late.
Right.
Previous night, Cliven Bundy had been arrested by the FBI after deplaning. Well, he got off a plane at the port. I'm just deplaned.
What do you mean? I'm just deplaning here.
Oh, he got off a plane in Portland International Airport. Charges related to the events that were alleged to have occurred.
No, they got some dirty shit going on there.
To have occurred during the 2014 Bundy standoff.
Right. They got some dirty shit going on there.
He had flown to Portland to support Fry, Banta, and the Andersons.
Oh,
Idiot.
Yeah, dumbass.
February 2016, the elder Bundy was transported back from Portland to Las Vegas to be tried in the United States District Court for the District of Nevada on charges related to the standoff at his Nevada ranch.
And why wasn't he arrested in Nevada when he was there all these years?
Right. Why was he arrested when he deplaned instead of planed?
Right.
And the first trial.
Right.
In the first trial there, the 2 defendants who were not charged in Oregon were convicted of some counts, with the jury deadlocked on the other charges against them and 4 others. The 2 who received guilty verdicts were sentenced on July 26th and 27th, respectively. Retrials of the first 6 and the trials of the remaining 11 defendants were scheduled for June 26th by Judge Gloria Navarro.
Oh, no. The final arrests, 26 militants indicted for felony conspiracy, was of Travis Cox and took place on April 12th in Cedar City, Utah.
Cedar City.
Like, you think we can find you here in Cedar City, Utah? Did you think, Travis? You're indicted. At sentencing on August 7, 2017, Antonio Cox, the youngest of all those indicted, described his own behavior as arrogant and ignorant.
Arrogant and ignorant.
He thinks they're the same word.
Right. It was arrogant. It was ignorant.
Right. He had served 51 days in pretrial custody before making a bail.
Jeez.
Dang, that sucks. U.S. District Judge Anna J. Brown said about him, I think it's important to note, if my memory is correct, you're the first person to acknowledge this was a mistake.
Damn. She's like, thank you, sir.
She sentenced him to 2 months of house arrest.
Good for him.
Look at that. See, man, just be
all you
honest.
gotta do is admit your wrongdoings and apologize.
Right. By August 7, 11 occupiers had pleaded guilty to felony conspiracy to impede federal workers.
Yeah.
In months preceding the sentence of Cox, Sean, Sandra, and Dylan Anderson received sentences of a year probation. See? Sandra, just let him go. He was the one who got probation. That was it.
Well, that was just for trespassing. Who knows what happened to his drug charge.
Nothing.
27th militant, Scott Allen Willingham, was arrested on March 16th. Willingham pleaded guilty to one count of theft of government property on May 12th.
That's the way that was driving a car?
Maybe. Michael Ray Emery, who had described himself as being an embedded reporter for the 3 Percenters of Idaho, was arrested by the FBI on May 6th in John Day, Oregon. Federal weapons charges related to his possession of a stolen fully automatic 50 caliber M2 Browning heavy machine gun. Military gun. Willingham told the Oregonian that Emery spent time at the refuge for media purposes and to share his expertise with weapons, and supplied another militant with a semi-automatic AK-47. Where the hell do you steal a fully automatic 50 caliber M2 Browning heavy machine gun?
Kidding, right?
Jeez.
Dang, a total of 27 people involved in the occupation were charged under federal law. Of those, 26 have been indicted for a single federal felony count of conspiracy to impede officers from the United States from discharging their official duties through the use of force, intimidation, or threats.
Terrorists.
Right. Number of those under indictment on the conspiracy charge are also charged with a variety of other counts.
I bet.
Some of them incur sentences up to life.
Damn.
Dang, including possession of firearms and dangerous weapons in a federal facility.
Yeah, see, when you do stuff in federal facilities, dude, it's a little higher of a crime.
Use and carry of firearms in relation to a crime of violence. Depredation of government property relating to damaging the site by means of evacuation, excavation, and the use of heavy equipment.
Who can't use heavy equipment?
No, and theft of government property.
They should have fined them for using heavy equipment without a permit.
Right. Damn, and probably intoxicated too.
Right. Yeah.
Jeez. In addition, several of those under indictment in Oregon have also been indicted separately for their roles in 2014 standoff in Nevada.
If you already wanted for one standoff, you probably shouldn't go participate in another one. January 2016, a court denied bail to Ammon and Ryan Bundy, saying they were a flight risk and a danger to the community. Court also denied bail to Ryan Payne, Dylan Anderson. Oh, poor Dylan Anderson, and Jason Patrick. 2017, prosecutors said they would be asking for a 41-month prison sentence for Payne.
Oh,
that's not bad, bud.
Right.
2.5 years. No, 3.5 years. Good for him, though. August 2016, 12 militants pleaded guilty to charges against them, including 4 of 9 militants who were part of Bundy's inner circle.
Okay.
Of those 4, 2 were reported to be negotiating a resolution to a federal indictment in regards to the Bundy standoff in Nevada.
Okay.
The trials for 7 militants, including Ammon Bundy, were scheduled to start on September 11th. Were scheduled to start on September 7th, 2016, while a further 7 militants were set for trial beginning February 14th, 2007.
Why so long? I don't make no sense.
Well, they have the right to a speedy trial. They could have sped it up.
Right. Charges against the remaining indicted militant, Peter Santilli, were dropped. But he still faces charges in Nevada related to the 2014 Bundy standoff. That damn Bundy standoff in 2014 come back to haunt a lot of people.
Should have did that one first.
August 3rd, 2016, about 15 hundo potential jurors were summoned, asked to complete questionnaires that would be reviewed by the attorneys and parties involved in September 7th, 2016 trials. Judge Anna Brown previously said that the case would require an unusually large jury.
Yeah, I mean,
jury pool
for all of the
right. They got a vet
media attention and stuff like that. They're probably going to be switching.
And more
was it in
and more potential.
Was it the OJ
extremist?
Was it the OJ case that none of the original jurors were at the end because they all had to get switched out and stuff like that?
Yeah. It was OJ. October 27th, 2016. Ammon Bundy and 6 other defendants were found not guilty of conspiracy to impede federal officers in possession of firearms in a federal facility by a jury. How?
Damn.
One defendant was found not guilty of theft of a government-owned truck. I mean,
He just borrowed it.
Right, he didn't steal it. I
Right.
can get that one. And the jury was hung on charges. Dang, they hung the jury?
Yeah.
And they didn't like the...
No.
The jury was hung on charges of theft of surveillance cameras by another defendant.
Damn, these guys got off.
Damn right they did.
The judge released 5 of the defendants, but returned Ammon and Ryan Bundy to federal custody because they also faced trial and related to
Right.
the old 2014 Bundy standoff in Nevada. At the end of the trial, Marcus Mumford.
Can you imagine how pissed off that judge is? Like, you fucking jury.
Pissed,
you fucking
Right.
jury.
Well, that's the
Right?
risk, I guess, of having a jury of your peers.
That's true.
At the end of the trial, Marcus Mumford, who was Ammon Bundy's lawyer, argued with the judge that Bundy should be released immediately on the grounds that the court did not have a detainer, and the United States Marshal Service had no document authorizing Bundy's detention. Right. Both of the Bundy brothers had been ordered to be held without bail in January when they were charged. After the grudge, he had a grudge. After the judge admonished him for yelling at the bench, 6 U.S. Marshals surrendered to the defense table and then tackled Mumford and tased him,
Dang.
or surrounded the defense table. Tased him when he resisted. Jeez.
Dang.
Spokesman for the Marshal Service said Mumford was arrested because he was resisting and preventing marshals from taking Ammon Bundy out of the courtroom.
Well, he had a legit reason, too.
How was he resisting? I mean, how was he preventing them?
He was just
It's not like he was standing up blocking them.
Right, he's just yelling.
Idiots, dude.
I will hold you in contempt. I hold myself in contempt. Other lawyers described the marshal's actions as a sharp break from customary courtroom decorum.
Obviously,
March 13th.
you can't just go and tackle people.
Right,
Dude.
March 13, 2017. Federal prosecutors dropped the unusual charges brought against Mumford for his outbursts at his client's verdict.
This judge was trying to sentence everybody to
He was-
everything.
Yeah, I think he was trying to send a message.
She.
Oh, in the trial of the second group of defendants held in February, 4 remaining defendants were being prosecuted for conspiring to impede federal employees, which they can't be because the other ones are found not guilty for it, right?
It's a different jury, though.
That's true. They were being prosecuted for conspiring to impede federal employees from working at the refuge through intimidation, threats, or fear. Greg.
Oh,
Right.
so this one wasn't stopping federal agents
yeah.
from doing
I
their
think-
job.
I
This
think
is stopping them federal employees.
I think they will be found guilty.
All
of this one.
right,
They
whole different set of charges
Yeah,
here.
they should be. Greg Bretzing, the recent retired FBI agent, special agent in charge of, testified that several agency informants had been sent into the refuge occupation to assess the situation. One, Mark McConnell, was Ammon Bundy's driver in the convoy to the city of John Day.
Agency informants.
All right.
Here we go with the informants.
Oh, geez. Here we go. Yeah.
Jeez. Drones, fixed cameras, and aerial reconnaissance were used in the surveillance. Bretzing said no military had been involved. Said his top 3 goals were a peaceable end to the takeover, a return of the refuge to forest, wildlife, and service, whatever control, and holding accountable the occupiers who were involved. Said there were maybe a couple of hundred FBI agents in Harney County, plus dozens of state and local law officers during the refuge takeover. Prosecutors indicated that 9 informants had been engaged at the refuge. Wow.
All right.
9 informants been
That's
engaged
ridiculous.
at the refuge occupation for periods of 2 hours of 23 days.
23 days.
And that none were involved at the initial occupation.
Oh.
Some had even carried weapons.
Oh, that's bullshit.
But
That's entrapment.
not only that, I guarantee while they were there, even though they weren't a part, obviously, of the initial one, but they came, and I
They
guarantee
might have
they
been
were
part of the initial one.
Well, according to him, they weren't. But they came and probably were like, "Yeah, fuck them guys," inciting them and riling them all up and shit. You know that was happening.
That's
Dude.
illegal.
Well, it's not. Unfortunately, it should be.
California blogger Gary Hunt said he received he received a thumb drive and documents that contained the names of 9 informants who had been at the refuge and 6 others in the case who had not been there. He posted them online to aid the defense. Judge Brown ordered to take them down. Such information as their identities that he had. Judge Brown ordered him to take down such information as to their identities that he had posted, holding them in contempt. Ooh. And he did so just before her deadline, when she would levy what he termed more coercive as sanctions. A neighbor testified that he had heard hundreds of shots fired at the refuge boat launch. I bet he did. They're probably
Targets,
right. And then an occupying tower sentry had aimed a rifle at him, and another looked at him through a rifle scope. He looked at me through that rifle scope.
I'd seen his eye.
I did. A video of an occupier meeting found on defendant Jason Patrick C's camera that was played in the courtroom showed chaos reigned amongst the occupiers after Finicum's death. Oh, I bet. They're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
They're killing us?
Uh-oh. We already have our martyr, one said. And another suggested targeting federal officials, saying execute them, their families, and everyone.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Defendant Blaine Cooper proposed leaving the refuge in a U.S. FWS fire truck and others trailing behind it. If they try to mess with us, well, it was the F word probably, lay lead down.
Yeah.
Oh, both Cooper's father, Stanley Blaine Hicks, and stepmother, Linda Lee Hicks, wow, talk about trailer trash, testified that he was not a truthful person.
This dude's a fucking liar.
Dude, Stanley Blaine is Bo Bennett. Fucking liar.
Right.
Refuge employees were set to testify that they had received death threats and feared for their lives, but the judge would not allow it. Closing arguments, attorneys for Dwayne Amer, Jason Patrick, Gerald Thorne, and Jake Ryan maintained that no conspiracy existed. It was never there. Michelle Kohler, representing Amer, said to the jury, the thought was never given to the employees. The occupiers went there on holiday weekend.
Oh, right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Oh, right. It was a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
But
No, they were told to leave.
they were told to leave, right?
And not come back.
Well, the occupiers didn't tell them to leave. It was the people that ran the place,
and they told them not to come back
unless they really had to, right?
So I think there was something more going on that we don't know about.
Well, so how can they be guilty of impeding federal employees when the refuge people told them not to come back?
Maybe they failed to mention that in the trial.
That's shitty lawyers done.
Well, the second jury brought split verdicts. All four defendants in it were found guilty of at least one charge, and Daryl Thorne of 2 charges.
Wow.
Jason Patrick and Thorne were on security details. Were found guilty of conspiring to prevent federal workers from doing their refuge jobs. Stupid. Dwayne Emer and Jake Ryan were found not guilty on that account. They're like, man, you guys knows those guys. Emer and Ryan were found guilty of willfully damaging the refuge when they used a refuge excavator to dig 2 deep trenches on 27th of January, 2016.
Yeah, it's a refuge, dude. You can't destroy you can't disturb the land, dude.
You can easily put the dirt back.
But still, you disturb the land.
I guess. Jurors also found Thorne guilty of possessing a firearm in a federal facility. So was everybody else.
Right.
Especially the FBI informants. Well, acquitting Patrick and Ryan of the same charge. How do you do? How?
I don't know, dude.
While the jury was in deliberations on the felony cases, Judge Brown held a bench trial for the remaining misdemeanor charges on the last 4 defendants. The misdemeanor ones were like $150 fine.
The defense contended they didn't know, nor were they given proper notice that they were trespassing. What?
You got to be trespassed.
Amer's misdemeanor charges were for tampering.
How do they know that?
That's what I'm saying. How do you not know?
But you still have to be trespassed.
I guess.
And they weren't.
There's no signs, right?
You have to be trespassed.
They were given proper notice that they were trespassing, right?
Either by police or the owner.
Or there's no signs posted that say no trespassing either. So, Amer's misdemeanor charges were for tampering with vehicles and equipment, removal of property, and trespassing. Noting that the defendant's guilty plea and low-level involvement in the occupation had mitigated the consequences of his actions, Judge Brown sentenced Jeffrey Stanek on June 26, 2017 to 2 years probation, 6 months house arrest. Similar reasons, July 6, 2017, Brown sentenced 23-year-old Tulalip, Washington, tribal employee, tribal employee Eric Lee Flores to 24 months probation, including 5 months house arrest. As with Stanek and Flores, probation had been expected for low-level defendants Wesley Carr, and Jason Blomgren.
All
this for nothing.
Right, it's all stupid. August 11, 2017, had been anticipated that Jason Patrick, Joseph O'Shaughnessy, and Dwayne Amer, Daryl Thorne, Jake Ryan, and Ryan Payne, John Reitzmiller, and Blaine Cooper would be sentenced later in 2017 for the convictions of felonies and misdemeanors involved in the Malheur occupation. 13 convicted occupiers have agreed to pay a total of $78,000 in restitution. Stupid.
Okay.
Reitzheimer and Payne. Why? Right. Reitzheimer and Payne, after pleading guilty to federal conspiracy charge, and Patrick convicted at a trial of conspiracy plus several misdemeanor offenses, each agreed to pay $10,000.
Right.
O'Shaughnessy, Cooper, Brian Cavalier, and Corey LeCoux, after their guilty pleas to conspiracy, agreed to pay $7,000 each.
Cool. Thorne.
When would they come up with $7,000? Where's that figure come up?
They never get that shit. Right. Thorne tried and convicted of felonious conspiracy to impede federal workers from doing their jobs, plus possession of a right.
I don't get it.
Plus possession of a firearm in a federal facility, and misdemeanors, including trespass, agreed to pay $5,000. Most minor of the offenders, Blomgren, Flores, Stanek, Carr, and Travis Cox, all agreed to pay $3,000.
Did these workers actually attempt to go and work?
and they were turned away. No, right,
no.
exactly. As of the end of August, the final two defendants, Dwayne Emmer and Jake Ryan, still awaited sentencing. They both had dug trenches at the refuge, and received guilty verdicts for depredation of government property. Okay.
For trenches of dirt, that the piles of dirt is probably sitting next to the trenches still.
You could have disturbed roots for trees or something.
Killed some worms.
Killed trees.
November 16, 2017, Dwayne Emmer was sentenced to 12 months and 1 day with 3 years of supervised release. Dang, supervised.
Damn. That means you got to check in, bro.
Right. November 21st, probation, just say parole. November 21st, 2017, Daryl Thorne was sentenced to 18 months in prison.
For digging a trench.
That's ridiculous. November 22nd, 2017, you should be like, dude, I'll go back and fill it in.
Do you want me to? Or what?
Come on.
They're like, no.
Then
We'll charge you with operating heavy equipment on federal land again.
They're like, no, we kind of like it. Right. November 22nd, 2017, Wesley Kshar. That's a hell of a last name.
Yeah, it's either Car or Jar, whatever.
Right. Was sentenced to 2 years probation with 250 hours community service.
Damn. Just put me to jail.
Right. November 30th, 2017, John Reitzheimer was sentenced to a year and a day in federal prison and must spend another 12 months in a residential reentry program.
Oh, geez. They making him go to half a house, dude.
January 24th, 2018, Jake Grant was sentenced to 12 months and a day.
They're sentencing that day, so they have to go to prison, dude.
But it's federal prison.
Yeah,
I'll go to federal prison all day. Jake Ryan was sentenced to 12 months and a day in federal prison for depredation of government property, trespass, and tampering with government vehicles and equipment. Ryan was also placed on 3 years supervised release.
All right, February 15th, 2018, Jason Patrick was sentenced to 21 months in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. February 27th, 2018, Ryan Payne was sentenced to 37 months. Same 3 years of supervision afterwards. 15th of March, 2018, Joseph O. Sagnasty, Shaughnessy, was sentenced to time served.
Hey.
And 2 years of supervised. Well, he was already been in jail for 2 years. And 2 years of supervised release. June 12th, 2008, Blaine Cooper, 18. Blaine Cooper was sentenced to time served and 3 years of supervised release. He was also ordered to pay $7,000 in restitution.
Yeah, get out of here. Shit. Following the surrender of the last militants, the FBI labeled the entire refuge a crime scene and canvassed the buildings in search of explosives and any previously existing hazardous materials. Collection of firearms and explosives
existing.
Right. A collection of firearms and explosives were found inside the refuge.
Were they, though?
I don't know about explosives. Safes were found to have been broken into with money, cameras, and computers stolen by the militants. They were also
Why weren't they charged with that?
Right. Yeah, safe breaking, which is 7 years automatically. They were also found to have they're lying. FBI. They let the FBI have full reign over this.
Right.
They were also found to have badly damaged tribal artifacts.
You can't do that, man.
They even had a tribal guy there. Why would he allow it?
That's it.
He's like, I don't like my ancestors. The FBI's art crime team. They got an art crime team. Damn.
Some of the biggest heists, art heists and shit. Yeah.
The FBI's art crime team conducted an archaeological field assessment to determine if the Native American Graves Protection and Reparation Act or the Archaeological Resources Protection Act 1979 were violated. Additional charges may result if so.
Oh, if so.
Sure.
Well, during the occupation, the militants.
Now they care about Native Americans.
Right.
Now they care.
They're just trying to get any charges they can on these bastards. During the occupation, the militants illegally dug a new road using a government-owned excavator, expanded a parking lot, dug trenches, destroyed part of the USFWS-owned fence, and removed security cameras. Some of the refuge's pipes broke, after which the militants officials said defecated everywhere. Wow. Gross.
It's disgusting.
Investigators found significant amount of human feces at two large trenches. Well, at least they were pooping in a hole.
Right,
and an improvised road on or adjacent to grounds containing sensitive art. You can't do that, dude.
Come on now. They went in there. They trailer parked it up.
Yes. A Forest and Wildlife Service spokesperson said that the damage risked the destruction and desecration of culturally significant Native American sites and called it disgusting, ghoulish behavior.
Oh, damn.
Ghoulish.
See that shit in October. The Burns Paiute tribe condemned the damage. Tribal council member Jarvis Kennedy, that's a hell of a tribal council. Jarvis Kennedy.
Hey, Jarvis.
Described it as someone went to Arlington National Cemetery and went on the bathroom on the graves and rode a bulldozer over them.
It's true.
Yeah. Two of the militants, Sean Lair Anderson and Jake Edward Ryan, now we get their middle names.
Right. I know what the hell.
Were indicted for depredation of government property.
Yes, we know that.
An offense that carries a potential 10-year jail sentence. They didn't get it.
No.
A group of 600 volunteers signed up to restore the refuge.
Good for them.
The Oregon National Desert Association sought assistance. And they're like, we need your help.
Yes.
The FAA also found evidence that the militants used a boat launch area about 1.5 miles northeast of the refuge for firearms training.
I told you that's what they were doing.
Obviously. That's why the guy was like, I heard bullets.
Shooting in the water, wherever. How many fish they kill?
Right. At the boat. Don't do that.
Right.
At the boat launch area, investigators recovered about 1,685 spent shell casings. Damn.
It's a lot of ammo. Refuge remained closed after the FBI left the site in February, with the entrance road blocked off for public access by armed officers from the Forest and Wildlife Service.
Dang.
Refuge's manager described it as one big mess at the end of the February. And although he and 15 other employees at the refuge were able to return to their jobs at the end of February, they found that while there had not been much structural damage to the buildings, there had been a great deal of disruption to files, heavy equipment, fittings, in addition to the problems caused by a lengthy break in the maintenance of refuge infrastructure.
Right.
Efforts to reduce the population of invasive carp and and Malheur Lake are thought to have been set back by 3 years.
At least, dude.
While the buildings remain closed for repairs, which are expected to take until the summer, the refuge's lands were reopened in mid-March.
Fantastic. Good for those guys. And FBI.
Right. I'd be more disappointed about the Asian carp.
Right. All that work be done. Mm-hmm. And if these guys actually cared, they would have been like, oh, shit. We didn't mean that, guys.
Right.
we didn't mean that.
Wonder how it did that. Just because they weren't there to take care of it.
Asian carp, they freaking populate like crazy.
Yeah. Jump out of the water and slap you in the face.
An FBI agent, W. Joseph Astorita, was alleged to have fired 2 shots at Finicum's pickup. One penetrating the roof and exiting through a wound.
Wait a minute.
Through a wound.
It exited through an already existing wound. So Ryan Bundy's like, hey, I'm good. Just went right through.
That hole's already there. FBI agent W. Joseph.
That'd be a hell of a name.
Right. W. Joseph Astorita was alleged to have fired 2 shots at Finicum's pickup, one penetrating the roof and exiting through a window.
Right. We know that.
Right. Shrapnel from a hit shoulder of Ryan Bundy.
Yes.
It was believed that FBI agents may have recovered ejected empty cartridges at the scene. Now from
the FBI, they picked up their own.
Right. We found these.
No.
Look what we found.
It is believed they may have recovered ejected empty cartridges at the scene, saying that they fired on them first.
A 5-count indictment for alleged lying about the circumstances at the scene of Finicum's death for alleged obstruction of justice was obtained in Portland against Astorita by the Department of Justice.
So
he tried lying.
He picked up his shells and said, we didn't do nothing. Oh.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
He was represented by a public defender. Oh, a public defender.
Jeez. The
That's
FBI was like, sorry, we got you on this one, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. Wow. He stated that his personal costs of defense had drained his finances. He entered a not guilty plea. July 16, 2018, U.S. District Court Judge Robert E. Jones struck 1 count of July 16, 2018, United States District Judge Robert E. Jones struck 1 count of making a false statement and 1 count of obstruction of justice. Okay.
Astorita's trial began in late July 2018, and the prosecution presented its case. Investigators accounted for 6 of 8 shots taken at Finicum or his truck. 3 bullets hit the front as it sped north at the highway roadblock. 2 more shots from that roadblock. SWAT member, Officer 1, in the Astorita trial, struck Finicum in the back as he walked uphill away from his vehicle toward a 3rd officer who was holding a taser.
Right.
Those latter shots were discharged as Lavoy was reaching. Yeah, we know.
Right.
Detectives said they found Finicum's load. Yes, we know.
He did say, shoot me 100 times.
Yeah. Shoot me.
Total of 6 bullets have been fired by 2 Oregon State Police SWAT officers. The first 3 at the oncoming vehicle.
Right.
According to investigators, the fatal volley included 1 round that hit Finicum's back which was fired by Officer 2, who had arrived in the chase vehicle.
Right.
Non-lethal rounds had also been fired at the vehicle, and Ryan Payne was hit in the hand by a rubber bullet. That sucks.
It hurt.
Right. Investigators and prosecutors believe someone else fired 2 additional rounds.
Who was it?
One of those 2 bullets hit the roof of Finicum's truck as he was exiting, right? After he had swerved into a snowbank alongside the edge of the road. And a second shot missed.
All right. Well, both those interim shots taken before the fatal volley were attributed by prosecutors to Astorita, but he had denied firing at all. Extensive forensic evidence. You just check his gun.
Right.
You have to account for whenever you discharge, right?
Bullets, yeah.
Extensive forensic evidence and analysis was presented in expert testimony. Deschutes County, Oregon Sheriff's Detective Ron Brown, who was a lead case agent in the Finicum shooting investigation, said he contacted Ryan Bundy by email, phone, and in person, attempting to convince him to have the metal fragment or whatever it may be removed from his shoulder, as a bullet fragment could possibly have been discovered, traced back to determine it. Yeah.
Wow.
However, though, Bundy either refused to have it extracted or alternatively made completely unreasonable demands. Yeah, they're like, you need me, mother.
Anyway, it had
including desiring certain individuals to be criminally charged in the case.
And anyway, at one point in time, it had to been taken out, unless it's still in his shoulder.
Sometimes you don't need to take it out.
Well, I guess
people are walking around with bullets still in them.
Right. The name of one of the officers who fired on Finicum was inadvertently revealed during a trial and circulated via social media by occupier supporters.
Inadvertently? Aren't you supposed to? Right. Who cares if it's revealed?
Right.
It should be revealed.
Right. The public release of that officer's name was objected by Finicum's widow. August 10th, 2018.
Wait, the public release of the officer's name was objected to by Finicum's widow.
Right.
She didn't even want the name released. Huh.
Right. She's like, I don't want no more damage. Right. My husband died. Mm-hmm. Can we just end it?
She's like,
can we all just go
She's
along?
Like, thankfully, I was about 2 weeks away from pushing him in a wood chipper anyways.
Right. But August 10th, 2018, a federal jury, which had deliberated for 6 hours, returned not guilty verdicts on all charges against Estrita.
You knew that's happening.
According to an initial analysis by the Oregonian, the occupation cost taxpayers at least $3.3 million to cover the massive police response, a week of shuttered schools, and a long list of supplies ranging from food to flashlight and batteries. Just flashlight batteries. They make batteries just for flashlights.
These are specifically to be used in
babe. I can't use these batteries
for flashlights.
For flashlights, son of a bitch.
How am I supposed to power my boombox? These batteries don't work for radios.
Damn, I knew I should have got that radio with a flashlight on
it. Should have got me them, or at least some radio batteries.
Right. Jeez. Most of the cost was around the clockwork police.
Yeah, that's fucked up. All these state police and FBI came in, and the taxpayers of that county had to pay for them.
Right. The Oregon State Police spent $1.2 million on wages. That's stupid for
overtime. Yeah, dude, right. Overtime will get costly.
Overtime, lodging, and fuel. Mm-hmm. While an additional $788,000 was paid for help from other police and government agencies from outside Harney County.
Jeez.
That's a lot of money.
That's so stupid how much this stuff costs.
Dumb.
I mean, it's dumb.
That's stupid.
The municipalities of Burns and Hines, Oregon, along with Harney County, its schools spent $521,800. The $3.3 million figure also includes wages to employees who cannot work because of the occupation.
No, they were told not to show up to freaking work. I don't understand this.
Such as $425,000 for about 120 BLM employees whose offices were closed. Well, they had to close them. The figure of the cost does not include additional costs.
No.
Such as lost time in the field, delayed or canceled BLM projects, or added demand for food and services at local nonprofits, such as the Harney County Senior Center.
Oh, no.
A subsequent estimate stated the cost of at least $9 million.
Holy shit.
Including $2 million spent relocating employees who had been threatened by the militants, $2.3 million on federal law enforcement, $1.7 million to replace damaged or stolen property, and over $3 million spent by Oregon government agencies.
That's ridiculous. I don't care. Those numbers are inflated big time.
Wow.
Inflated a big at a time.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh, freaking Pete. Jason Holm, a Pacific Region USFWS spokesman, says, do it.
Yeah, do it.
Please continue to go there. Check the birds off your list.
Yeah.
And then, rather than head into the visitor center, go on into Burns. Eat at a local restaurant. Provide some boost to the economy as well.
Yeah, they're like, see, the problem is Burns is 30 miles away.
Right. I'm sorry, but how you do it. Sounds like a good idea, but no.
Right.
September 2016, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service said the headquarters area would remain closed while they installed security upgrades, which they anticipated could take until the spring of 2017. Roads and wetlands remain open to the public for birding. Oh, good. Dude, they had to have their birding.
Gotta have it.
They love bird watching over there in Oregon. By 8th of May in 2017, the entire visitor center, including Central Patrol Road, had been reopened to visitors. Yeah.
Throughout the occupation, statements were issued by anti-government activists and sympathetic residents who criticized the militants' tactics. Other statements of condemnation were issued by legal scholars, because we want to hear from them,
right?
And federal, state, local, and tribal governments. In the first days, the takeover sparked a debate in the United States on the meaning of the word terrorist and how the news media and law enforcement treat situations involving people of different ethnicities. Oh, here we go.
Oh, geez, get out of here.
Oregon government office holders such as Governor Kate Brown, Congressman Peter DeFazio, Earl Blumenauer, and other top officials in Oregon who had hoped for a more rapid and rigorous federal response urged criminal proceedings for the militants and expressed praise that the occupation ended without further bloodshed. Good for them.
Jeez.
Good for them.
Well, Congressman Greg Walden, whose district office is in Bend, and incorporates the refuge. He said this: "We can all be grateful that today has ended peacefully."
Besides the one dead, but
and that this situation is finally over. Now, life in Harney County can begin to return to normal, and the community can begin the long process of healing.
Healing? What the fuck are they healing?
Well, so
they dug trenches. I'm gonna have to look at that mound of dirt.
Oh, that's 30 miles from my house. Right. Walden complained about allegedly poor federal forest and land management policies during the occupation. they weren't trained to do this. Of course it was. And said that he would like to see changes to those policies. We need to foster a more cooperative spirit between the federal agencies and the people who call areas like Harney County home. 27th of June, 2018, Walden pleaded for a pardon for the Hammonds on the floor of the House of Representatives. Why?
Who knows?
And in a statement issued July 1st, Walden quoted Judge Michael Robert Hogan's opinion that sentencing the Hammonds even to the minimum mandatory sentence would shock the conscience.
They were already sentenced.
And revealed that then President Donald Trump was considering a pardon anyhow.
For the arsonist. Let's not leave that out, though.
Harney, right.
The arsonist.
Right. Harney County held a primary election in 2016 of May, in which voters turned out in large numbers. All of the winning candidates had opposed the occupation.
I would assume in that county it was not very popular to support it.
Right.
Idiots. And I'm here to say there's no other conservatives, so I'm here to win the day. At least 2 civil suits were filed by participants. Of course. Civil rights case filed by passengers of Finicum's truck was dismissed. January 31st, 2018, passengers in Finicum's truck, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, and Victoria Sharp, along with Ryan Payne, filed their own civil rights lawsuit. And they filed that against Astorita, Bretzi, and other officials. Okay. Plaintiffs have alleged they were victims of an armed ambush, kind of. It was. Excessive force, yes. Excessive force seizure, conspiracy, battery, and assault, and seeks a common law jury to award damages of up to $1 million per count.
Dang.
July 19, 2018, U.S. Magistrate Judge Patricia Sullivan granted a motion to dismiss Ryan Bundy and Shauna Cox as plaintiffs.
Oh.
September 6th, Shauna Cox, she wasn't charged with anything anyway. Right. Pressure Get out of here. September 6, 2019, Chief United States District Judge Michael W. Mosman dismissed all counts in the lawsuit.
Okay. So as of July 24th, 2020, a wrongful death case brought by Lavoy Finicum's family remains pending. Well, they're trying to figure that out still.
Yeah. Oh, she's getting some money.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah. The case was filed on January 26, 2018, United States District Court in Pendleton, Oregon. Named as defendants were the United States, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Oregon State. About time the FBI gets freaking what's coming to them.
Well, do they though?
Right. Oregon State Police and the Bureau of Land Management, Black Lives Matter, BLM. Not Black Lives Matter.
Obviously.
Oregon Governor Kate Brown.
Oh, Kate Brown.
Greg Brenting, former FBI Special Agent in charge in Portland. Indicted FBI agent W. Joseph Estrada, U.S. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, former U.S. Senator Harry Reid of Nevada, Harney County Sheriff Dave Ward, Harney County Commissioner Stephen Gratzky, the Center of Biological Diversity, and multiple unnamed
Why
officers.
are they suing the Center for Biological Diversity?
Right. And then we got others.
Right. Just the others.
The lawsuit seeks more than $5 million in damages for Finicum's wife, Jeanette, and each of their 12 children and his estate. Holy shit.
Fearon Sucklin, executive director at the Center for Biological Diversity, called the suit a bizarre, incoherent, yet nonetheless dangerous attack on free speech.
Oh.
Disposition of the case and parties was reviewed by U.S. Magistrate Judge Patricia Sullivan, who on July 24, 2020 made recommendations to the district court regarding each of the defendants. She recommended that all defendants be dismissed except the Oregon State Police. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that shot.
Right.
Family will have an opportunity to respond to the dismissal recommendations before a district. 2005 or August 5th, 2001, U.S. District Judge Michael Mosman dismissed most of the civil claims brought in the suit.
Of course they are.
Right. The only people that should be, just charge the OSP guys and then be done with it because you're getting money from the Oregon State Police for show, dude.
Definitely.
For show. You ain't getting no money out of the United States or the FBI.
No. Definitely the FBI. Definitely not the FBI.
Definitely not the FBI. That's like trying to get money from the FBI.
Right. Right.
Holy crap. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
For once, I mean, it was kind of handled decently until the roadblocks.
I mean,
the roadblocks kind of messed everything up.
That's Finicum's fault. Shouldn't be going out there trying to,
right.
Like I said, keep your damn hands up at all times. Wouldn't have happened. So
right. Right.
What are you going to do?
Right.
They should have the roadblock should have happened a while before.
Yeah, definitely.
These guys traveled how many times to go meet with the sheriff and all that shit?
Many.
Either or.
But the Esteretti guy or girl, whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't know how he got off, but
that's
picking up
suspect.
shells
that's suspect there.
Yeah.
That means there was intent to do some type of shady shit.
Obviously.
Well,
and the judge is like, I'll allow it.
Well, the FBI was like, "You will allow this, Judge."
Yeah, pretty much.
Judge was
or
like, I will allow it.
You and your family
Right.
will allow it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Don't you have a birthday coming up?
You know how they say people usually die right around their birthdays, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the Malheur Refuge occupation.
There's more to it than what's in there, but obviously we'll never know.
Oh, obviously
the actual reasoning behind everything. And plus, what about the 9 informants that were there? Some up to 23 days. I want to hear their stories.
And carrying weapons.
Right. I want to hear their stories.
Well, the judge already tried to get that guy for releasing their names. So
right.
You can never hear nothing about that.
Just another thing, man. Man, these extremist groups are just, man, these guys are just.
Yeah, wackos, dude.
Wow.
Wackos.
Wow.
And this whole thing could have been stopped right at the beginning when the two Hammonds, so this whole thing was around,
they're like,
clearly said, we don't want your help. No. We're fine with serving our 1-year sentences. Just leave. And then they're like, no,
we're good.
We're doing this for you. Why can't you see that?
Right. Like, no. We're like, no, dude, seriously, bud.
Like, no, for real. Like, we burned places down. Right. I think we'll serve our 1 year. Right. Jeez.
We'll do that. And we're like, no, dude, you don't even understand.
And those guys ended up getting pardoned. What was the point of pardoning them? I don't understand that either.
Just so that's off the record.
Whatever. Fucking burn shit down. They're arsonists.
Right.
Why are they getting? I don't give a shit for what reason it was.
Yeah, that was all messed up there. And why did Donald Trump even pardon him?
That's what I'm saying.
What's up with that?
Yeah, who knows? That's gonna do it for us. Yeah, we'll be back next week for something else. Obviously, go in the meantime. Check out our other show, Battles of the American Civil War, where we are right smack dab in the middle of 1862 right now.
And what even if the federal government even pretended to, even if the federal government even was going to be like, all right, we'll hand over the refuge to the state. How does that help these guys out there? Because they're going to be like, okay, cool. And I'm going to drive 3,000 miles back to my house and never see this place again in my life. I don't understand why these guys came from all around the country. It just don't make no sense. And then even the people that live there were like, dude, we live here. We don't care. And the Hammonds are like, dude.
Even the state's like, no, we don't want control of that because that means we have to spend more of our budget on it. Let the federal government handle that shit.
And then
holy crap!
And then Bundy and all those guys were like, look at this poor land. It's fenced up. And these ranchers can't even use this land. Let's take this fence down. The ranchers like, hey, what are you doing? Put that fucking fence back out there.
The occupiers are taking some down, and meanwhile the other ones are coming behind them, hammering it back in.
Like such a
you motherfuckers.
We're doing this for your own good. No,
these guys are whack jobs.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Go check out Battles of the American Civil War and This Week in Sports History. Go look up Bang Dang Network and you'll find those two shows. And yeah, I don't know what we're doing next week. Something that involves shooting because that's all we got left. We got a lot of murders coming up.
Some gunslingers
for you guys going on. So yeah, that's gonna do it for us and the Malheur Refuge standoff / occupation, whatever you want to call it. We'll be back next week with Outlaws and Gunslingers.
Bang Dang.